Pandora's box is about to open wide.
Welcome to Pandora's box, everybody. Drew was just telling me that the people that made the Matrix have, they used to have a P and now they've got a V. Or something to that effect.
The Kowalski sisters now instead of the Kowalski brothers.
That's crazy,
I
man,
think it's
isn't it?
Kowalski or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but when you're saying that you saw like an interview with them though, and they're still just like a big bearded looking bloke, but they're like,
They weren't bearded, but like,
oh right.
just still had a very deep voice,
Yeah.
and yeah, I was, it's crazy.
There's
Apparently, there's a lot of themes in the Matrix around trans and stuff, which I didn't realize when they were talking in the interview.
There
about
is
it
no
and that.
wiener.
They took the rainbow pill.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I've watched a really good, very interesting and informative podcast on Andrew Gold's Heretics, and it was like this. It was with this woman who basically she was like telling her story, and she'd been like really demonized by I guess like that whole community because she basically had like some real issues when she was younger, when she was like still a teenager. And then she went into that, I think they call it gender affirming care, which in itself sounds a little bit like sinister, but it's like all like tarted up to make it sound all nice. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so they just immediately, like all these adults just put her on all these like hormone blockers and stuff. And she was just saying about how it's like, like she's kind of like traumatized by it now because she's at the stage now where she basically came out the other end, all of the stuff that happened to her, all of the hormones and stuff, and everyone like treating her like a bloke and calling her a bloke and that, like it just it didn't make her feel better about any of the issues she had in life. And eventually she hit rock bottom, realized that actually what she needed to do was like accept herself rather than, so she went back to sort of like trying to be like a woman again. But because of all the hormones and stuff she was put on, she doesn't know if she'll ever be able to have kids now and stuff. And she was saying like to her, obviously it's like she feels like the medical establishment and like the adults that she was in the care of like have basically failed her because they started doing all that stuff to her when she was like 14 years old. And
that's a very transitional part of your life, puberty and everything anyway.
She just trusted them at the time. Yeah, she just sort of trusted them at the time.
Yeah.
But now she's
it
like...
can have repercussions that go beyond...
I think now she's in her like mid or late 20s and she's like, I really want to have kids. I don't know if I'm able to have kids now. And like, there's certain other issues that she's like got like medically as a result.
Irreversible changes.
Yeah,
almost.
yeah, exactly.
That's crazy, isn't it?
But what you saying about, you were saying about when they literally obviously like cut off your wiener and stuff and then almost like try and invert it or whatever. I remember,
they actually do that. I thought my brothers were joking when they said that.
No, and it's pretty mental, Emma. So I saw an interview with this guy.
I thought you were going to say you saw it happen then.
Yeah, no, I watched.
I saw one the other day.
I saw one the other day. Yeah, it was pretty weird. No, I saw an interview with this guy who. He's now trying to accept himself as a guy again, but he's basically like the poor guy's life is almost like ruined because he's just so physically and mentally messed up now. But yeah, he went full on like balls deep down this whole path of like full transition and everything. But apparently
not balls, then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, ironically balls deep, but no balls. But but he was like saying like. You don't think about this stuff until afterwards, but because of the way it's done, apparently you're like super susceptible to like these like savage infections.
Oh yeah.
So I can't remember what he said he has to do, but like every single day,
it's not like that.
It's like every day he has to like inject something in himself, and he's basically saying that like his life is like miserable.
I saw this thing on TV, like it was just on TV like late at night, and it was following these guys that had transitioned into girls, and the infections would just come up like every few months.
Surely, like you get warned about that though.
Well,
no, you don't. That's
just
like
a part of it.
I think that's part of the sinister thing about it, Imo.
Did they not tell you it?
Well, I think a lot of people to this day like believe, when they say things like, "Oh, going on hormone blockers doesn't affect you." I've heard people say things like going on hormone blockers for like teenagers doesn't affect them, and that basically when you stop taking the hormone blockers, then you will essentially just start puberty, even if you're like 20 or whatever. But apparently that's just not the case. Apparently that's almost like one of those things that it was a bit like with the, how people were told during the COVID era that like if you like took the vaccine, you'd be allowed out in public, but it's sort of like it didn't really make sense because it didn't stop transmission. It only just lessened your negative effects personally. So it's like, well, why would that affect? Do you know what I mean? Like, why would that affect then you going out in public? Because you can still spread it exactly the same. But I think it's like one of those like just false information things. But like a lot of people believed that. But then a lot of people, like the woman I was just talking about a minute ago, like went on all these hormone blockers, and now they're like their hormones are like messed up for life. But like they weren't really told that, and I think it's just quite sinister whenever you've got like children involved, isn't it? Because I think it's like at the end of the day, once you hit like 18, I think look, you can do what you want, and then you're
even then you're young, aren't you?
Yeah, you're like, super young.
Try not to maybe make too many life altering
decisions
at that age. Wait until you're at least like. Maybe I'd say in your 30s or something. Yeah,
definitely. But at least it's sort of like, I think as like a legal requirement. Yeah,
then they're
keep
legally
it to
old enough
18.
To be an adult. Like.
Yeah, the same way that like, I mean, I've like people, I don't think you're allowed to like walk into a tattoo shop and get a tattoo when you're a kid, are you?
No.
You need,
unless
like,
you've got parents' consent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you need to like a parent to be there with you.
With parents' consent.
From 16,
really?
you can get a tattoo with like very obvious.
Yeah, but I think you
consent.
still need to be even 16, and that's still with parents. What I think is quite sinister about the gender identity movement is it almost seems like there's a little bit of a conspiracy. Have you heard like in some places in America where it's almost like teachers have been pushing it on the kids, but without the parents knowing. Which is really sinister. Yeah, because the idea is like as a parent. As somebody that has a daughter that's like in early school, that like the teachers would be almost in this sinister way, like trying to push this stuff on my kid without me being aware of it, and they're like actively almost hiding that. Did
you hear on Joe Rogan? He was talking about one of his friends who had that it happened to them. So he was living in California, and his kid went to school and was having these
weird lessons.
Yeah, and just almost like groupthink. When you're a kid, you're easily led and all that stuff. So was having like these thoughts of I want to transition or stuff, or just and the police actually showed up at the guy's house and they were going to take his kid away.
That's freaking mental,
because he was like, I'm not letting this happen, or he was, and he said he had to try his hardest in that moment for them not to take his girl away. He was 14, and they didn't take her. And that night he got on a plane to Texas, and they moved to Texas the next day. Yeah. And he said, and it seems
like
crazy.
California,
and then from California to Texas, and then he said within 1 year in a new school environment and not around the same kind of things, she changed, and it was and that wasn't a thing anymore. And it's almost like, what is the group herd mentality, like the influence that's around you, that you're susceptible to lots of things when you're younger, and being easily led and manipulated or malleable,
It's weird that it's like this almost like this sinister social trend that seems to have like popped up in the last 10 years, but suddenly went like hard on it, and like some people
things do go viral, don't they? Like, with
social contagions, they call it. Social contagions, but it's like it is absolutely crazy how that just sort of like took the world by storm. And it's like, and I think it's like very normal for kids to like explore their world, but I think it's like really weird how like kids are always like exploring different stuff, and like you go through like mad phases, some kids more than others. I remember probably the most extreme example of that would be like JKist, like Josh and Bullwinkle's brother. Like honestly, it would be like, I remember it was like every time I went around their house when I was younger, he was really into something else, but like balls deep, not just like like a passing thing. And it could just be like a new television program, but then the next thing, or it could be like a new band, or
that's what I do,
or I know he's looked really into
as well,
I know he's really looked into like Buddhism in the past, but then all this other
obsessions.
And like history, and like when he came in on the pod and he was like saying about all of this like medieval history and language and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't know you knew about this, Jake.
But my point being is it's like it's very like normal for humans, even if there's like like a spectrum of how much kids are into these things or kids do these things, of like you almost like wanting to almost like experiment as you get older, but that doesn't mean that like your core identity is changing. It's like, for example, I know that like Emily's sister Becky, she is like quite a tomboy. Like most days she won't do her makeup, she doesn't really ever do her hair, like she'd do her hair like the same way that like we would do our hair when we were longer. Do you know what I mean? Like she'd wash it and like tie it up, but like she doesn't like do her hair like some women do their hair.
I don't do that either. I just brush my hair in the morning. Well,
you've got very nice hair, Emily, so you don't have to.
Thank you.
Nice and just like long and natural. But
only curl it on occasions.
I could, man, the image of like you with like a perm is hilarious.
No, not
like perm. A fat perm.
You should do it. You should do it.
No. Show Bullwinkle right up. He'll be like, I haven't got the best perm on PB anymore.
They're called chopstick curls. I did chopstick curls in my hair before.
Yeah.
And it did make me have like quite like afro-y hair.
You look super 80s.
If you know who like Sophie, it was, yeah. I was gonna say if you know who Sophie Darcy is, I looked a bit like her.
No, I don't.
She's
know
like a
Sophie Darcy is.
contortionist, like on YouTube and stuff.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, you
A
could do that as well.
contortionist. Yeah.
I can't do that.
Is that why you're a fan of her?
No, I can't do that. No, I just know who she is because I like her boyfriend.
Oh.
This Sam from Sam and Colby, the paranormal person I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah. Well, sort of like what I was getting at though is like, you know, like sometimes kids go through like a cowboy phase or a cowgirl phase or like, and then they'll be into like astronauts and dinosaurs as well. But that doesn't mean, I think it's like quite weird to though be like, oh, like, you know, like if you want to take that as an example, like, oh, they're really into like astronauts at the moment, so we need to, like, you know what I mean, and almost then really seriously like, well, I need to make them an astronaut now. Which is like, do you know what I mean? It's almost like, it's strange that like, say if any boy was showing any curiosity in anything that was like deemed quote unquote feminine, it'd be like, oh right, well we need to start putting them on hormone blockers now and start making it. It's like, what? It's like, whoa, calm down. It's like it's a bit mental, isn't
Anything
it? You know?
that can like change our bodies in that much way, even like medication and that. I feel like there's part of modern, like the modern world and modern living that's like, oh, let's just do this or do that or give them that or give them this, and I feel that can have negative and I think going through the whole pregnancy thing and that as well, and having a baby and like and the medical interventions that happen with a lot of birth and that, of course it's meant to happen in, you know, if we didn't have doctors that could do what they do now, then you know, we'd be in a lot more trouble than we are. But I think you can almost over rely on that, or like over go into that sometimes, like with pregnancies, and a lot of people that we know that have had babies and then had these traumatic experiences of like things happen to them in the hospital that like were meant, like had to happen medically, but almost like the medical intervention is what's caused them to happen in the first place, if you know what I mean.
Sure, yeah.
So like and a big one for that is inducing labor. So like when you induce like a baby, like that sets the false hormones in the body to flood your body and to bring on all these contractions, but they're actually way bigger than what you would have at the gradual.
Are they really?
So they're like forced and they're like
they're
massive.
like quicker and more intense.
They're quicker and more intense. Yeah. But
I think I have heard that before, actually.
But then that can set a chain of reactions in your body off, like, because that's almost like not natural. It's like you've put this chemical in your body that's forcing your body to do that, and then it makes it way more intense, and then that can lead to like problems further than that. And it's like, I'd never even thought about it before, but just going through it, it's like, oh, I think sometimes it's like, oh, there's this issue, chuck the kitchen sink at it, and then it'll almost like make it better. But I don't think that's always the right answer, you know. Like
no, definitely. And sorry, just to finish off, because I remember I didn't actually get around to what I was going to say about Emily's sister Becky. So she's like a real tomboy nowadays. Apparently, when like they were all younger, like when they were all kids. Right, and it's weird, you wouldn't think it now. Apparently she was almost like the girliest one out of all of them. So she was the one that would like always buy like the Barbies and like always want to wear pink and stuff like that. And like Em wasn't really like that. But now Em's definitely the more girly one. Like she's a bit more, you know what I mean? She's more like, you know, Em will do like makeup and I'll do her hair a little bit more, and she's definitely a bit more interested in fashion. Like Beck will just put on like a baggy t-shirt and just wear some jeans, do you know what I mean? And a jumper, like. But my point being is,
Bro's
it's like
just describing me.
Yeah.
Me right now.
No, you're definitely a girly girl.
No, I am. I know I am.
But you're a nice balance. Do you know what I mean? Like you can like hang out with the guys, and you're just like one of the gang. But you're a good balance. But my point being is that, like, you know, people go through like different phases of their lives, and now she's at a stage in her life where, because she's like 30 or 31, whatever she is, you know, she's sort of come full circle. She's like, she knows who she is. She knows that she's like, you know, she's in a heterosexual relationship, but at the same time, you know, she is a bit of a tomboy, but she's like confident. She's got that sort of, she knows who she is. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you have to be like so extreme, like, oh, she's a tomboy, so she has to do this, or she used to be a girly girl. So is that confusing? Does that clash? Like, no, it doesn't clash. It's just like people go on their little journeys, and the idea that, well, like you have like people that are like developing physically and mentally, that you're then going to like start including. I think basically the moment you start including drugs and especially like physical surgery on minors before they've like come of age, to like to make the decisions as
That's
an adult.
nefarious to me.
It's super nefarious, and it should be like this. It should be like categorized as like like buying like a gun. It's like the reason you don't do these things is because they have like dire long-term consequences.
Yeah.
And anything that has a dire long-term consequence, you shouldn't really be putting that sort of things in the hands of children, should you? And it's quite interesting actually. I saw it's mad, and it just goes to show how much of a social contagion things like this are. I did actually save something on my phone, so I'll get it up a second. There's all this like latest research that's come out literally in the last year that shows. Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, the number of young Americans identifying as trans has plummeted in the last year, and literally the only thing that people can come up with, or scientists that are doing these studies can come up with as a reason, is literally like a fading trend. Which just goes to show that it's like, do you know what I mean?
So weird.
But it's also not recognised in America now, is it? Like I don't know whether
as much.
Yeah, isn't that the law now?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I know
like,
one of the things Trump said when he first got in was like that as America we'll only recognise a man and a woman.
Oh yeah, they said like only two genders.
There's only
The thing is that federal law or is that state law? Because if it obviously,
well, I think it's
federal law. Because if it's federal law, it means that every state has to abide by that. Because you have like state laws and then you have federal laws. And obviously, federal laws trump. Literally, like state laws, know. Yeah. So like every state can have their law unless there's a federal law which then supersedes the state law. But it's gone down by like over 50% in literally a couple of years, which just goes to show that it's almost like this weird social experiment. But I think the problem that makes it. Like social experiments are fine unless there are people that are literally having their lives ruined by it. And the problem is that there are like lots of young people out there that have been permanently mutilated due to the social experiment, and in some cases due to either like abusive parents or from parents that were almost like stripped of their rights, their sovereignty as a parent. Do you know what I mean? Like, ultimately, I feel like you should be the one until a child comes of age and they are but legally an adult. The parent should be the one that ultimately has the say.
That freaks me out.
Not the state or schools.
Like the state kind of decision making on things like that, like really freaks me out.
The idea that
I think it's dangerous because if like you had like a girl but you really wanted a boy, it's scary to know that like
the state's got my back if I want.
And I think
it's like. I feel like it's all right if it's not doing anything that can harm them. Like, if it's a boy wanting to be a girl, like, just letting them grow their hair out, letting them wear whatever clothes they want.
Well, me and Drew had long hair when we were younger.
Yeah, growing your hair out, wearing what you want. If you want to do your makeup, do your makeup. But if it's going to, like, actually, like, affect you, don't do that until you know what you're putting yourself into.
Much later decision, like much later time in life, maybe, that you do something that could actually...
When you actually know what's going to happen and it's your fault if something goes bad, not...
It's crazy as well, a decision that can be like so quick and you can do something in a moment that will affect you for the rest of your life, and that's one of those things when there's like surgery involved and stuff like that, hormone blockers or...
Well, theoretically, you could just like, one of us could just like jam a pencil and right now, we'd like blind in one eye for the rest of your life, do you know what I mean? But it's like, it's like the dire physical consequences of that. It's like, do you know what I mean? But
I just cringed.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And do you know what you said earlier as well? Like Emma was like, are they not told that about the infections and stuff? Like, even if you are, like, a lot of the times I think you can have an idea of something in your head, but until reality actually hits where you actually go through with it, that you're only ever going to know what it's actually like when you do something. So do you know what I mean? Like, so it could have this idea in your head of like, oh, it's all going to be fine, and like it might be a bit hard, but but then imagine living with that every day, like every week, getting like a new infection or something, and then thinking like, what is my life now? Like, a lot
of people also think, oh, that'll never happen to me.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, it might have happened to them, but it's not going to happen to me.
Yeah. But then you go through it, and it's like, oh my god, the reality is actually way more.
Yeah. I think a lot of it as well, and I really don't think this should be understated. A lot of, I think, why this has all happened is like comes down to like fear, and it's like, a lot of people are afraid to be classed as like transphobic or like whatever faux pas you'll be branded as if you don't go along with this. And it's quite interesting actually, like along with that sort of study that's come out about how all of a sudden there are like 50% less people literally in the space of like a year, 50% less people identifying as trans. A lot of therapists who have dealt with people that have been coming to them as clients who either previously identified as trans or are still currently identifying as trans. A lot of them are saying that their clients have openly admitted to them that the reason that they did it was fear of not fitting in.
Yeah.
Fear of not fitting in.
Which is a massive thing in a social situation
so
in school and stuff.
They're openly saying to therapists, I didn't necessarily actually want to do this. It's just that I guess they were like maybe exhibiting some traits of what you would traditionally think of like the opposite, be like characteristic of the opposite sex. And then they were almost like pushed down it. Down this way of thinking,
supported,
and they weren't brave. Yeah,
and that's
they
all
weren't
good.
They
that's
weren't
all
brave
positive.
enough to say, actually, I don't really want to be doing this.
But imagine that to someone that is actually fearful or confused, getting totally upset, like accepted by a community, and all of this help. That would feel good. Do you know what I mean? That's almost like
definitely.
It could brainwash you a bit
definitely.
to be like, I'm accepted
it's almost
now
like,
by people. People love me now.
It's like it's teaching a dog to do tricks, and every time you do a trick, you give them a back. It's like it's positive reinforcement,
even money and stuff as well. I can imagine
positive reinforcement versus negative reinforcement.
Yeah.
If you like give someone a slap every time they say a word. They're never going to say that word eventually.
Oh my God, I'm trying to do that to my boyfriend.
I love that.
I'm doing it with cheese. Every time I say cheese, and then I throw like a sock at him or something.
Right.
And the more I do it, the more he flinches. But I haven't done it in a while, so I'm going to surprise him. Like.
So what is your end goal with this? Why do you want to do this?
Because every time someone says say cheese for a picture, everyone will start going cheese, and he'll be like, no.
Oh, so you literally just want to mess him up. That's your end goal.
It's just funny because I'll just keep going say cheese.
That is
scared.
That is freaking.
It's not working the greatest.
Yeah.
It works if I do it in a row. I'll go cheese, and then I'll throw something, and then I'll say cheese, and then I'll do it again, and I'll say cheese, and then the third time he'll be like, stop.
Yeah. That is so good, Emma. I love how you're doing
that. I'm
that.
not hurting him. I'm not hurting him before anyone says that. He's fine.
Yeah.
It's just a sock.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, that's, perfect example. Like Emo's boyfriend, he is going to have issues with cheese the same way that people, are going to have issues with these things. But, and I think that, like, that fear thing, do you know what I mean? Whether it's, like, you as an individual person that's being, like, forced down this down this path because, you're afraid to speak out, or even if you're, like, you're not necessarily one of those people themselves. But let's face it, I think a lot of people in life, they'll just do whatever they feel is probably safest and easiest, rather than necessarily what they actually think. And as a result, I think that's why you see with a lot of these movements, why they take off and why it's almost like you have, because they're like so insanely black and white, aren't they? These sort of sections, they're almost like, if you don't agree with this, then you are bad. And like most people are like, oh well, I don't want to be bad, so I guess I just gotta join. I guess I'm just gonna go along with it
as well. Like when you're young, like it's actually, it depends on personality as well, but it's actually like really hard to be 100% like sure about, like, do you know what I mean? Like it can be very confusing, like especially with yourself and stuff. Like I think it's totally dependent on like personality and that. But do you know what I mean? Like you want to do the right thing a lot of the time, and if you don't 100% know what that is, then like that I can see that you would be easily like kind of led and stuff like in that situation as well. Like
definitely, and I think as well, and I think this is like a really important point. But I think even saying this is almost like slightly controversial. But then if you pick it apart, you think actually how crazy it is that it is controversial. I think it would be like, I think if we're all being honest, it would be like sort of. It'd be ludicrous to say that the people that end up with all these like crazy surgeries and put on these blockers and stuff originally didn't get put on this path, whether it was them that actively did it or they were sort of encouraged to do it by adults around them when they were younger. Like that these people didn't have some sort of mental health issues, whether they were going through a hard time, whether it was like depression or maybe like even some more intense medical, mental health issues, it could be like, schizophrenia or some sort of, some sort of issue. And as a result, or what I'm getting at is I think, people obviously that are going through a hard time in life, that are having mental health issues, they are some of the most vulnerable people in our society. And as a result, they should be handled with the utmost care. And I think that when you're then maybe taking advantage of that...
It's almost wrapped up as that, though, isn't it? It's almost wrapped up as we're giving them the utmost care. We're like catering, but it's not. It's like the opposite.
You're treating them almost like a guinea pig.
And also, what I said about being confused as well, like, on the flip side of that, when you're very young, you or especially like teenager, you can almost think you know everything as well.
Oh, 100%.
As in like 100%. You can get so fixed on an idea that you think that is like that.
You think it's the adults that don't understand and that you're the one that's right.
But now,
it's very like hilarious. It's almost like it's like a mixture of ignorance and arrogance you have when you're a teenager.
That's it. Yeah, and I feel like so you're actually very confused, like because you just haven't got the wisdom of life experience. But you feel like you know 100%. You feel like what you believe is 100% the truth. So if certain people that really get behind this movement and everything, like believe it to the core of their being at that younger age, you know, when they're in their 40s or something, like, are they going to feel the same? Is your life experience going to change?
No, and I think most people obviously aren't. No, and that's why you should be really careful by doing such radical things whenever it comes to like changing the way that your body anatomy works or anything like that. And just get back to what I was saying a little bit about like sort of like the mental health thing as well. I think that to a lot of people, they would think it was controversial that I even said that people with these sort of issues had mental health issues, and they would almost like imply that it was bad for me to say that. But to that, I would say, like, well, you know, if somebody suffered from depression or suffered from bipolar or autism, and I said that was a mental health condition, that's not me slandering that person or putting them down, is it?
No.
I have the utmost sympathy for anybody that's ever going through a hard time with anything in life, you know, and if that happens to be a mental health condition, then yeah, you know, I mean, I've of course, I think like most people, I've been around people that are depressed. I've known people like personally that have been depressed. I've known people that suffer like from crippling anxiety. I know super autistic people. You know, one of my good old friends, I won't name her by name, but you probably know which one I'm on about. Drew was in our year at school. I was like really good friends with her. You know, she had like about 5, I think, like quite serious mental health conditions. Super smart, wasn't she? Like one of the smartest people in our year at school, but just had a lot of mental health conditions. And obviously it's like, you know, obviously I treat her like a normal human being, but you know, as like a human, knowing that obviously she was struggling in her head and that life was so much harder for her just internally than for me, obviously I had the utmost sympathy for that. But I also see that as intelligent as she is and as intelligent as she was, that she would have been more susceptible to being pushed down something like that, like, oh, we have an answer for your problems, why don't you try this, than say me or you would have done. You know, like at the end of the day, we're lucky in terms of like we don't need any sort of pharmaceutical drugs to function, like, you know, like we're human beings, of course we have like good and hard times. I even wonder
with like the antidepressants and things like that.
That's what I'm saying.
I think they really
and she was people. This person that I'm talking about, she was on several like prescriptive drugs. And she came, I don't know if she's on any now or anything. I haven't spoken to her much in the last couple of years, but she did come off them for a while, and she was sort of trying to like self-medicate more through like exercise and stuff. And I don't know if it was like a long-term solution or if it was just a short-term solution, but I know she said that she felt actually a lot like better when she came off, and she was trying to do like, you know, medicate more through like exercise, because she said like what are these drugs were doing a lot of the time, like, yeah, they were sort of curbing some of the more negative feelings she was having, I guess, like, you know, like borderline suicidal thoughts and things like that, and
kind of numbing you out a bit.
But they were also like blunting the other end of the spectrum. They were almost like stopping her from experiencing like true joy.
Yeah,
and like
it just makes her just like a body, not like a person.
Yeah, exactly.
It takes away your personality and everything.
It's like she's like walking through life almost just like numb.
I saw it in an episode of The Simpsons, actually. They did something about that using Lisa. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. They had her take like antidepressants and stuff like that, and it just completely like just numbed her personality and just made her just like a walking human.
That's crazy, yeah. But I think the thing that's almost like a little bit sinister about because you know there used to be a word I think they used to call it like gender dysphoria. So I think that used to be like a medical term for people that were under the illusion that they weren't the sex that they actually were, and that was an accepted term right up until about 15 years ago, and all of a sudden almost like overnight it became taboo. But I think the danger with that, and you can see the danger now from all the mutilated young people and stuff like that, is like to use that almost like to try and use a different scenario that's easy for people to think. Imagine if something like schizophrenia, overnight it was taboo to say that somebody with schizophrenia that was a mental health issue, and you were actually saying, yeah, like, you know, like no, like entertain your your delusions and stuff like that. When you bear in mind like how dangerous something like that is, when you're schizophrenic, you can think that there are like monsters out to get you, and that like somebody that's walking down the street is actually working for the CIA and they're like out to kill you and stuff like that. You know, like imagine how dangerous
or that your mother's still alive when she's not, and you start skinning other people.
Well, yeah, exactly. Or imagine if even like somebody with like depression, rather than being like, oh yeah, I'm real sorry. I'm real like, you know, sorry for what you're going through, and I wish there was more I could do to help. But, you know, just remember, you know, that there are things that you can do, and hopefully you'll come out the other end. Imagine that rather than being like that, you actually entertained it and you were like, yeah, you know, those suicidal thoughts you're having, yeah, that's perfectly normal, and maybe you should actually entertain those. So it's like, do you know what I mean? That's like dark.
Isn't that like Blue Whale or something? Was it something like that? Back in the day, there was like
I don't know.
Blue Whale or something, where it was like 10 days and you have to. It's like, it was like really bad. It was back in the day. There was something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if you guys agree, but do you like, to me that's like the same sort of thing. Do you know what I'm getting at about like that?
Yeah, and
sort of entertaining. It's like how it's like weird that
that's the scary thing with some AI stuff as well. Like there was this guy that I think he killed himself, or he tried to kill himself, and they looked at, and he was like, he had something wrong with him, like I think it might have been Asperger's or something, but he like basically like the AI became his like friend, like it's the only, you know, because it is, you can have like these insane depth conversations and that, and where it's supposed to what's the word for it? Like, be very agreeable to whatever you say.
It's programmed to be agreeable.
And it's programmed to like almost like affirm whatever you're. Yeah. So like he ended up trying to kill himself because basically like this AI was saying that his thoughts are valid. Like or was basically, you know, the conversation, what you were saying about imagine if we actually affirmed people's like
schizophrenia or depression.
So he was showing all of these examples of how he was like that, because that's the conversation, but the AI was just affirming it all, and it made it worse and worse and worse, and then he like tried to kill himself. You know, and
it's magnifying an issue and making it 10 times. Or like, imagine if you were around somebody that had like crippling anxiety, and obviously depression is sort of basically like you're feeling bad about the past, isn't it? And anxiety is you're feeling bad about the future.
Do you know
what I mean?
That,
so it's like, but imagine, so like people that suffer from crippling anxiety, it's almost like they can barely function because they're constantly worried about every bad thing that could potentially happen in the future, which to like most people,
worried about a responsibility that you've got, that you know you've got to do, but like you're thinking about it, so the fear of it messes you up for even doing it. Like,
but imagine like how not imagine like how not comforting it would be around to be with somebody that if you were anxious, would just be like, yeah, to be honest, mate, I'd be anxious if I were you too. I tell you what, mate, you should be anxious.
That's what my brother's like. It's horrible.
I was gonna say
it's horrible.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? Like as a bit of banter every now and again. Like as long as obviously the person is like, it's a reasonable amount of anxiety. It's not like somebody that's suffering from crippling anxiety to the point they're like, they're going to kill themselves. Do you know what I mean? Like, then that's sort of funny. That's funny to an extent, but when you've got like people that are suffering from it like chronically, that's actually just like really not good. And the fact that, as you said, like even AI is almost being programmed, like, and I think it comes back to that thing. It's almost like you know, say you're a heroin addict, and you know you've got two friends, and you know one of those friends is going like, you say to one of those friends, mate, you know, do you think I have an issue? And one of them goes, no, I don't think you got an issue, mate. And you're, it's like, you know, in the short term, it's what you want to hear. And it's like comforting. And it's like, yeah, well, and do you know what? Oh, I'm really glad to hear that. And also, I can't get any smack today. Can you help me get some smack? And they're like, yeah, I'll help you get some smack, mate, because you know that's what a mate should do. And then you've got the other mate that goes, and you say to them like, do you think I have an issue? And they say, mate, yeah, to be honest, I think you do have an issue. Sort it out. And I'm really not saying this to judge you, mate. But it's because I care about you, and because, you know, like before you got on all this stuff, you were like a different person for the better, and I can see how your life's taking this downward trajectory. And I really want to help you go cold turkey, and I really want to tell you that.
It's like me in 2012.
I really want to tell you the truths that other people aren't telling you right now, because they're afraid of upsetting you or afraid of falling out with you or whatever. But I don't think that would be the best thing to do right now. So I want to be the person that's going to tell you all the hard truths, and you know, and then like took the heroin off you. You know, throw it in the bin, and almost like, you know what I mean? Like, and in the short term, you might hate that person because you'd be like, they're sort of insulting me. They think they know what's best for me. But then if you suddenly then became clean, you'd be like, this person saved my life.
Yeah.
Because like a high percentage of heroin addicts, just look at Kurt Cobain and Lane Staley and stuff like that, they die.
Spoiler alert, that's literally 13 Reasons Why.
What's that? Is that a movie or something?
It's like a really, really popular TV series.
Really?
On Netflix.
Yeah.
Literally, one of like the plots of the characters is that one of them, he was like a really big drug addict, went down this really bad path. All like
but nobody in his life sort of intervened.
No one intervened. Not his mum.
Yeah.
She was dating a drug dealer.
Yeah.
And not his girlfriend really. She was the only like good thing.
Yeah.
And then he got even bad because he let something bad happen to his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then this boy, the main character, like saved him, took him off the street at first for his own purposes, but then realized how bad he was and like got him all like clean and everything. And then his family adopted him and everything, and it was like sick. In the end, he did die, but it was of something else. So yeah, that was a spoiler alert. So I did say beforehand. Yeah,
I think it's crazy when you're just using someone like Kurt Cobain as an example, how there wasn't anybody in his life. Well, I mean, maybe there was, but I've read his biography, Heavier Than Heaven. There's I've watched several documentaries on Kurt Cobain. As far as I'm aware, just off the top of my head, there wasn't anybody that had tried to have like a major intervention with him about his drug use. And I kind of think
still very young, wasn't he? Like 27.
20. He was part of the 27 club, wasn't he? Was it 26 or 27 club?
27,
Was it 27 club?
Yeah,
27 when he died. Yeah, but I think like that's kind of mad, isn't it? You would have thought that there would have been somebody in his life. Like I know that Chris Novoselic, like the bassist in Nirvana. Anyway, I don't know if I butchered his last name. I know that they'd been friends since like school. They were like schoolmates. They met Dave after school.
Clean?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know if he did drugs. I know that Dave Grohl was never into drugs. I know that he was one of those guys. He must just have like a super not addictive personality.
That's so good as a rock star.
Yeah, he always just.
That was like the drummer that died.
Mate, that's why he's alive, isn't it?
Yeah, because he died, and I didn't even know he had an issue with all that stuff.
Sorry, who died?
Taylor
Hawkins.
Yeah, Taylor Hawkins, because that was like really sad when that happened.
The drummer
of
Foo Fighters.
I think he'd been clean for years, and then like had a bit of a bender, and then just that was it.
It's crazy that like for someone like Dave Roy, must be like, why does everyone around me just like got all these drug problems? I remember like in his autobiography, Dave Grohl's autobiography, is it called Storyteller? Anyway, he goes on about how like he obviously was exposed to it quite early on, especially once you were like the drummer of Nirvana. It's almost like some even like band managers will almost like think that it's part of their job to sort you out. I know that's one of the big issues with Lynyrd Skynyrd was that they had this like British manager, and he'd been like with the Who and that beforehand, and he would almost like he would just turn up everywhere with like big bags of cocaine, and it was like, and apparently like say like the Ronnie Van Zant, the lead singer of Lynyrd Skynyrd, who passed away in the plane crash that killed like half the band. He almost like loved it about the manager, but it almost like made a bit of like a splintered off sort of like attitudes about it in the band, because some people were like, this guy
like
is
a
like
big
making everything worse.
The singer as well, like
Ronnie Van Zant, real
like,
big personality.
So that mixed with drugs as well. Apparently that could like
he was like a bit of like a crazy brawler and that. So he would just like, and if anybody just argued with him, he just starts trying to like smack him and stuff like that. Like, I
remember this bit in a documentary I watched about him, and it was like the guitarist who was a guitarist and then got like kicked out or something.
Yeah, Ed. He's a lot of people think he's like the best Lynyrd Skynyrd guitarist.
And like he got I think one of the last straws was like he was like holding him up by the like.
Yeah, and he was like, "Man, I can't be doing this anymore, man." Like,
He's just quite a normal guy, like not into fighting and stuff. And must have been intense, like
He was sound. He unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. He really good. He's the one that came up with the classic. I remember. He came up with freaking. He wrote like Sweet Home Alabama, like all the music anyway.
That's it.
Yeah. And he always used to play with like a little seashell. That's what gives it. If you almost like think about like how it sounds, almost like the tone. Yeah, it's almost like a bit brittle. Yeah. Not in like a bad way, but it gave it that like that like dang 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 dang. He'd like always find these like shells, and then he'd almost like work on them at home with like chisels and stuff to get it like exactly how he wanted it and stuff like that. So it wouldn't be so sharp to like break the strings, but it would sort of be like a pick in terms of like how it felt in your hands and that. But I can't remember his full name now. For some reason, I keep saying Ed and then wanting to say Ed Gein for some reason. But obviously, he was not the weird guy that like wore people's faces and stuff.
No, he just used seashells as picks.
Yes, on the seashore. But Yeah, and I think with a lot of these issues as well, and I think like, you know, whether it's like what we're talking about, like the social contagion of you know, some of these issues, which has now led like a lot of these, and I think it's easy for people like us to sort of turn a blind eye to it, but it doesn't necessarily mean we should, because just because we're okay, as I said, there are like a lot of people that are like physically and mentally scarred by these things, which is why it's, you know, I think it's important to at least bring, you know, attention to it. And, you know, I think just to clarify as well, you know, any of these statements aren't at all like demonizing the individual people that have like chose to do this or gone through this, because that's not what it's about. I say I have like the utmost sympathy for any of those people, whether they like, or even if you're like still sort of like identifying and stuff like that, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not your enemy. Like, what I have a problem with is like the institutions and the people that are like telling these young
potentially
people
pushing a certain agenda or something.
Yeah, and like to the point where you are potentially physically mutilated or sterile and unable to have kids, like before, and this is all before you even reached adulthood. And when as we said earlier on, you know, you can't buy a gun until you're an adult. Yeah. You can't buy booze until you're an adult.
It's pushed through as normal, but it's definitely not normal.
Yeah.
Like, and that isn't normal. You know?
And like, relatively speaking, let's face it, like drinking a freaking couple of beers, that's not going to alter your life. You know, but you're not allowed to do that until you're 18. In America, you're not allowed to do that until you're 21. So why is it like normal to start like, you know, you hear about like you know, freaking women that have had like double mastectomies when they were like 14 and stuff, and it's like, man, that's tragic, man.
Crazy.
Like lopping both your boobies off when you're like still a little kid. Like the fact that like adults are like signing off on that. Like, yeah, that's okay, we'll do that. Like, what are you on about?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like strange as well. It seems almost like a little bit backwards, because I mean, you know, like I think like 20 years ago when you'd hear that like, oh, did you know that there are still some like African tribes that like genitally mutilate like female and male babies? As a British person, you'd be like, wow, that is messed up. Of course, so glad we live in like the West. Do you know what I mean? Like,
have you heard about like the husband stitches and all that?
No, what's that?
Yeah,
like,
they sew them up.
So
what's
like
that?
Sometimes, I don't think it happens as much here as other countries, but like when you give birth, like naturally, if it rips at all or just in general, they'll ask if you want to have like an extra stitch. They can ask the husband if he wants an extra stitch, which basically makes everything like smaller and tighter. So it's supposed to feel better for like the man during like sex and that. But it's not good for the woman. It's bad for her. I've seen that.
I couldn't help because I was like wondering what was going through Drew's head at the time.
it's like apparently it's like a thing native to like a certain tribe, but I don't know where
I've
it's
heard of the
from.
one in Africa where they actually stitch them right up.
Oh, I've heard about that as well. That's
and
like another version.
What's the thought process behind that though?
Just to like so that they can like so that they stay a virgin until like they get married or until they're at the
just close
they're
everything.
at the right, you know, until the husband can say they're at that time in like thing to, and that they will actually, and they also cut their clitorises off as well.
Yeah, I think that's the one I can remember. I can remember like when you hear it younger hearing about that and just thinking
I think
like
it's Africa,
that is messed
somewhere in
up.
Africa where
they
do
like
that
when the girls are born they do it.
I'm like, man, that's just crazy.
But like, you know, I said like 20 years ago that would have been accepted like in pretty much any Western country that was, to say extreme is being polite. But like but to me, like cutting off breasts of 14-year-old girls or 13-year-old girls, and then and like cutting woolies off little boys and putting people
half of them don't even have boobs at that age.
Yeah, I know. And then like, you know,
didn't.
And then do you know what I mean, or putting people on hormone blockers so they might be potentially sterile for the rest of their lives, like that, to me that is equally nefarious. Good word, nefarious. And I think a lot of the time as well, and I think it's something about the human brain, I think we need to remember that like in societies, just like in everything in life, progress isn't necessarily linear. And I think some people almost take the very almost like simplistic mindset of like, well, people in the past thought that this was taboo, but that's because it was like this like archaic wrong way of thinking, and now obviously we are like more enlightened, we're like more up to date and stuff, and it's like that's a really actually like an overly simplistic and quite foolish way of thinking about stuff. Like really, if you look into anything in life, we know that like progress isn't necessarily linear. You know, like progress is like this, you know. It's like if you had it on a chart, it would be like up and down. Sometimes it would go right down and then almost like just be dead and buried essentially. Sometimes it could go right up and then plummet again. You know, so it's like the idea that just that like the societal norms of 20 or 30 years ago are by default worse than today is overly simplistic and often can be damaging. I mean, but there's many examples you can see of this in history if you want to look at examples of this. I mean, there's plenty of times where whatever the most advanced society on the planet at the time was, then had some sudden fall from grace. Whether it was like ancient Egyptians, ancient Greeks, Romans, these are all societies that at their peak
flourished.
Yeah, Persian Empire as well.
British Empire.
Yeah, British Empire. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, British Empire, you are correct, but I guess the other ones are more extreme because they had like a more radical fall.
Oh yeah, true.
I mean, we are potentially
we're still in it.
Yeah.
We're still
We're
riding.
going.
We're still riding the British.
Yeah. At least for now, we are still a first world country.
Yeah.
But
true. Yeah.
But yeah, you are right in terms of like at our peak, we were by far the most powerful nation on the planet. Had like the biggest empire on the planet. We had like the creme de la creme of everything. We were almost like we had like the ire.
We were the god of countries.
Well, yeah, I mean more or less.
Of owning countries.
And let's face it, like a lot of like our like nearest competitors, whether it was like the French or the Spanish, like almost like really, because we were like back and forth with them for years because they had big empires as well, and they almost like really obviously just resented the fact that the Brits almost like
such a small little country compared to them as well, but just had all this like clout everywhere.
I love that you just like the way you would have decided it was clout. The word used was clout. Yeah, we just had all this clout, mate. The French and the Spanish cannot compare with our clout, mate. They can't compete with our clout,
especially our naval clout.
Yeah, can't compete with our freaking naval clout, mate. Can't compete with our army clout,
and also
either.
Just way of living and like and what we introduced. I think like you've said it before on the pod about. Generally, when we would introduce ways of like
civilization,
infrastructure,
civilization,
all of that, it would always be on the net benefit of the country in the long term. It could and I even remember that I think I mentioned it a couple of times, but the naval officer account of meeting those people for the first time.
That is fascinating.
And I loved it. And you just hear the language he's using and the way that he's interacting with this native people and that. And it's like that for me. That's like the epitome of what a naval officer would be, or like a captain of like of a fleet of England. That's the kind of attitude they would have towards locals and that as well. And it was very caring and very like. And I think it can get painted as this certain thing, but the actual benefit like it had across the world when we did have our empire and that
was positive.
Pretty good.
On net was positive. Definitely. And I think talking about like social contagions and stuff. This isn't necessarily a social contagion, but it's almost like it's an accepted way of thinking in a society. I think it's almost like become more like generally accepted, in my opinion, falsely. In the last sort of 20 years, almost like the British Empire was like this really bad, evil thing, and we were like trying to subjugate everyone. That's not really the case. We were like a seafaring, exploring nation, and explored different parts of the world.
That must have been the Viking in us.
Definitely. It was like a bit, the Viking / Saxon / Roman / crazy Celtic in us. All a bit of a mix, wasn't it? Because we are right mongrels, the Brits, but. But it's like, you'd explore these different countries, you go to them, let's face it, a bit like you see on Sentinel Island nowadays, which is that island where, if you like go there, you just get killed straight immediately because, it's that island where there's tribal people. I think they're called the Sentinelese people, and they just come out of the freaking jungle with like bows and arrows and spears, and they just kill you straight away. And there was that story about that Christian missionary who like went there and he was like, no, I'm going to go there, I'm going to do God's work, I'm going to go there. And like all the authorities were like, no, do not. You cannot go there. I think it's even illegal to go there.
Yeah.
But he went there anyway, essentially.
Did you hear about the thing before
within
that?
Within 30 seconds, he was dead.
And there was this was I saw on Joe Rogan as well. But he was saying about someone like the only other like interactions they had of like people visiting them was like this white guy that went over from another part of the world and like took some of the kids to try and treat them for some like disease.
Yes.
And then he gave all the tribes tribe like smallpox or something.
Yeah. So
they see
they
it
think
as
it
like,
almost it's white
last
demon.
time white demon come.
Yeah.
Like half the tribe died and our 2 kids like went missing and we never saw them again.
Mentally to them that would have almost seemed like an alien abduction.
Yeah.
The way that we see like greys, you see like the the traditional image of like a grey alien with like the big heads. How like they kind of look humanoid but not like you. Imagine if you'd only ever seen full-on indigenous like tribal like like,
white man with a white beard.
And then suddenly in like this weird looking clothes.
Yeah.
And then you just like take
Yeah.
And then that takes your kids. That takes your kids, disappears, comes back, and then all of you and your family like die of some unknown disease.
Yeah.
You would be like, right, if any of these people stand up again, we're just gonna like spear them.
Oh.
My point was, anyway, sorry, they're just like, so think, there would have been a period of time, so when the British Empire were like exploring the furthest reaches of the earth, not like places like the Mediterranean in Europe, which they were accustomed to being around, and you know, had like, you know, advanced civilizations, advanced by those by the standards of that day, I mean, you know, similar in advancement to Britain. And then you've gone to all these places, whether it was Australia, like New Zealand, you know, and there would have, you know, it would have been like on the Sentinel Island. You know, they would have got there. They wouldn't have had the intention of just getting off the ship and starting killing everyone. But all these people would have been super tribal. They would have been like scared. They would have come out of the, you know, they would have come out and they would have started trying to kill the British sailors. And then obviously it's your right to defend yourself. And, you know, and let's face it, you know, things like that are always messy. I'm not, you know, it's a shame, obviously, that any of these people, you know, would have been killed and everything. But I think one thing that we need to remember about, the Commonwealth countries, and obviously the thing that makes a country a Commonwealth country is because it was a country that the British Empire went to and basically made a part of the British Empire, was what the British did, which is very different than most subjugating countries, subjugating empires, is they would go there, they would build infrastructure, educate the local populace, and then with the end goal of a self-governing people. Yeah. So they would govern until the local people were capable of self-governance, and then they would hand over the governance to those local people. So it'd almost be like,
and then it would be a part of the empire more economically.
We're going to build you these railworks. We're going to show you how to build.
We're going to benefit from the things that we're introducing to your culture.
Rather than this hut that blows down every time there's a storm, we're going to show you how we build these houses in the West that won't blow down in a storm. We're going to introduce all this. We're going to introduce like global trading networks to you, rather than you having this like bow and arrow. Like, you know, that's like the bow's not even as good as people like from Britain 1,000 years ago. You know, you can have all the, you know, these guns which will help you hunt better. Here's a gun. You can now hunt a wild boar. You know, all of this stuff. And then when the people can self-govern, then they'll leave. And you know, to be fair to the Chinese, even though they're trying to hack everyone constantly and, you know, setting up little freaking cheap labour
trying to hack everyone constantly. Yeah,
they are, aren't they? That's like the big thing. It's like everyone's just constantly apparently under cyber attack from China, and they've now just got like a complete monopoly on the economy because obviously they set up all those super communist low wage factories mass producing everything in like the late 80s and 90s, and now everything you see it's like made in China. And then as
Why'd you say it like that?
in China. I was getting immersive, all right? I was being immersed. But to be fair to the Chinese, they openly say, don't they? They're like, oh yeah, like the British coming to China was like one of the best things ever for China, because even if like we had the opium wars with China and all the rest of it, which obviously at the time they very much would have really despised the British people, understandably. You know, obviously you think about tea, like British people love tea. We got tea from Asia. Do you know what I mean? Tea doesn't grow in the UK. It's like I'm pretty sure it's even like comes from China, or at least
it was from a Chinese emperor.
Yeah, tea. There you go. It's like black tea. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, there was, but modern day Chinese people are like, what the Chinese did, the reason why they're so successful.
That wasn't why you got teabag though.
No,
teabag came.
They came much later.
It's because that's how they transported it around in a little bag.
What sort of teabag are you talking about, Imogen?
Just a teabag, like
right. So you're not talking about you're not talking about teabagging.
Oh no.
Imagine that. The Chinese taught the British teabagging.
No, the Chinese.
The British guy was asleep once in China. No,
the Chinese got the tea.
Right.
And then the teabag came from. So when they were getting it imported, they didn't realise you had to take it out of the bag, so they just put the bag in and it worked.
Right.
So that's where that came from. I only know this because you know how last year it was beans in college?
Oh, yeah.
Randomly, this year it's tea. So.
Is it? Yeah, because before everyone would have loose leaf tea, wouldn't you? And you'd have those little. Every household would have had one of those little metal.
Loose leaf tea. I like
every one of those little like metal, almost like spheres, but you press it down, it opens it, and you take a little clump. And you put it, and then that's how you would.
I didn't realise that. Do you know those cafetières coffee? You can do that with like loose leaf tea as well. So put a load of that at the bottom, fill it up, and then plunge it.
Do you know what, I've never.
Did you not think of that?
No.
To be fair,
Meg always does it, and I'm like, oh, that That's so cool.
It's not really like commonly seen though, is it? No. You think cafetiere, you just think coffee.
Yeah, but you can do that with tea.
It's because it's like, I suppose, it's because it's like almost the name, innit?
But yeah, no, I mean, obviously, you can see why it would work exactly the same. But I mean, I go back to my original point. Yeah, so like the Chinese are very much like, they now really appreciate that. One of the reasons they're one of the leading like countries in the world is because what they did was they almost like took what Britain brought to China and then they just expanded and built on it. And to be fair, done better than us. I mean, their railway networks nowadays are like way better than ours, which is kind of embarrassing for us. We're the ones that invented the trains and took them to India and took them to China and took them to the United States, and now ours are like pretty shod compared to some countries' ones. But like India, the same. India have got like a really good economy nowadays, very successful. Definitely got a lot of social issues, but economically they're doing very well for themselves. And they say the same thing. They say what a lot of countries did was when the British left, they just destroyed everything the British brought, and then they're just almost like to this day really bitter and like and they're sort of like living in squalor. Whereas what India and China did was they were like they took it and they built upon it and they tried to improve it, and tried to almost like to like rival the UK and in some ways become more successful than the UK, which is like and as like a British person, I'm like fair play.
It's mad that Britain used to be like a centre of industry, but now there's hardly any industry at all in Britain. Like
really
that's crazy,
sad, mate.
Isn't it?
Really sad, yeah, like, really sad.
Because I heard about with everything that's happening with immigration and stuff. Like apparently, when there was a lot of like say Indian immigrants before, like years ago, they actually really helped build a lot of the and work in, because we were such an industrial country then, that almost like the jobs were there and everything, or like the to what we were trying to build as a country, like they helped build that as well, and it was almost like there was a place. But like now with what's happening, there's like people coming in, but because there's not the industry there for them to even have like meaningful jobs to help us in that way, that's why there's loads more like negative connotations towards it, because it's almost like come and like sponge off the system almost, but like not actually contribute to our industry, because we haven't even got any industry to contribute to generally.
Well, like, all of our like steel works. I mean, obviously one of the main things throughout history that was like really lucrative in the UK was basically, if people didn't know this, like tin in like 99% of the world is like super rare, but there's an abundance of tin in the UK, which is
there? Oh.
So like so one of the main reasons why countries like seafaring nations, like long before Britain was even had an empire, would come to Britain was to trade for tin.
Oh.
Because tin is needed in a lot of things. It's like needed in a lot of like smithing, for example. Tin can be really useful to mix with other alloys to like improve on that alloy. Tin is like, so if you went, say, the Middle East, you could mine for like an entire lifetime and you'd never find any tin. Whereas obviously in Cornwall, it's like one of the things, it's like known for the tin mines, isn't it? Even to this day, it's almost like a tourist thing. Like you go there, it's like, these are the old tin mines. And that like show that was really successful about 10 years ago called Poldark. It was all about this guy, Poldark. Henry, I think his name was Henry, was it? I don't know, something Poldark. Anyway, and he was like one of the main families that were in charge of mining tin in Cornwall. And it's sort of like the whole story of that and everything like that. But and so it's like, and the name Britain comes from the Latin Britannia, which is what the Romans called us.
That's why it was, Britannia.
Yeah, that's right. But the Romans first heard about, I don't know if the Romans heard about it from the Greeks and the Greeks heard about it from the Phoenicians, or if the Romans heard about it straight from the Phoenicians. I wouldn't be surprised if the Romans heard about it from the Greeks and the Greeks heard about it from the Phoenicians. But the Romans knew about Britain before they went there from other more local civilizations that had gone to Britain by ship. And the ones that first went there, a really powerful seafaring nation, a group of people that are from modern-day Lebanon. They were called the Phoenicians, and they lived. I can't remember exactly.
Were they the ones with the amazing boats?
Yeah, they were like basically like they were like the OGs of like the seafaring nations. So if you want to say like the Egyptians were like the OGs of like impressive, mad like engineering, like and architecture. Then the Phoenicians were the OGs of like seafaring peoples, and they used to travel all the way from modern-day Lebanon. They'd obviously travel all around the world trying to find stuff that was essentially beneficial to them, and but they thought of tin as this like super rare ore, so they were like always looking out for it. And then they were the first. I think they're the first people, as far as we're aware of, as well as there is actually like documented historical evidence, they were the first civilization to actually travel from ship to the south of England. And when they went there, they traded with the like primitive British people. And what they found out, much to their delight, was that in Britain there was an abundance of tin. So they would like trade stuff from Lebanon and the rest of the Mediterranean with the local British people. God knows how they spoke, because this would have been like ancient freaking like Brythonic like language, which I don't.
Brythonic.
Yeah. That's what you'd call it, a Brythonic language. Yeah.
Brythonic.
So it's like I don't even really.
I speak Brythonic.
Yeah, I don't even really know what it would sound like. Brythonic. Maybe it would sound like a bit like some archaic form of Welsh or something. I don't know. Or like some archaic form of Cornish. But yeah, it would have sounded mental anyway. It wouldn't, because obviously it wouldn't have sounded anything like Old English, because that's more like Anglo-Saxon and stuff like that. So it wouldn't have sounded anything like Old English. But they would have traded like all of their cool Mediterranean stuff, which obviously the British people would have never seen before. They would have probably been like, "What the hell are all these like herbs and spices and like pelts from like exotic animals and stuff?" And they would have traded it for tin. And the Phoenicians were like, well, happy, because to the British people, they were almost like, the Phoenicians were getting a lot of bang for their buck, because they were used to thinking of like tin as like this super precious ore. But because it was in such abundance, the British people were giving them like a lot of it. And they were like, they thought it was amazing. So they named, they called the British people, or I can't remember if it was the British people, they named Britain, Bratanac, which meant in ancient Phoenician was like land of tin. And then like the translation from Phoenician to Roman from Bratanac was Britannia. And then to this day, we still call ourselves Britain. But that's actually like originates from land of tin, which is from the ancient Phoenician people. Don't you think?
People still call it Britannia, to be fair.
Yeah, Rule Britannia, Britannia.
Everyone knows what that is.
Yeah. It's like still sang to this day, isn't it?
Yeah.
What was it before then?
Sick.
I guess people would have just been like independent territories, because you got to bear in mind, like in those days as well, like even say like back in like old Egger's day, King Egbert's day, you know, when it was still like Wessex, Mercia, Northumbria, like
I mean the actual like they knew they were on the Isle. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
so the British people or other people?
Either. Well, I suppose, yeah.
Well, what would they have called it?
Yeah, the islands that they were on.
Well, I think to be honest, I think they
wouldn't have been thought about it.
As far as we're aware, as far as we're aware, at least, the Phoenicians were the first people from abroad, essentially from not from our island that came there. So nobody even knew that Britain existed before that point. And I guess for the people like locally in Britain, you'd have just been like, it would have been such like different. There would have probably been like literally like 1,000 tribes in the UK, or maybe more.
And I wonder if they would have put their boats, because it's not very far across the channel, is it? Like,
no,
to France
not
and
the
stuff, like,
shortest point. No.
Yeah,
because surely you would have seen, you would have seen like Calais from Dover. Yeah.
So I wonder back then if we did have any kind of boats, even little rowing boats.
I expect people did it, didn't they?
Yeah, that could have got over. And
that's a good point, man. I never really thought about it. Yeah.
Even though like. Yeah,
I think at the time it probably would have. Because you hear about people literally swimming the channel, don't you? We even talked about like the first person to do it.
I swear sometimes when it's really clear, you can literally slightly see.
No, you can. You can see Calais from Dover. Like on a clear day. Yeah. It's a really good point. And I don't know. I think the problem is I wouldn't be surprised if. I wouldn't be surprised if some like. Relative to the day, ingenious ancient Brythonic person might have crafted some nice little like
rowing boat.
What was that library that burnt down? That like ancient one.
There would be no the Alexandria.
Yeah, if that was still up, we might have known.
Yeah, there's some mad.
We'll never know now.
There's like some mad stat, isn't there? Like something like 75% of all the world's literature up until that point was at Alexandria.
Mad,
so there's like 75% of our what we know is like our recorded like human history.
They should have pressed save.
It's just gone.
Yeah,
got a backup.
That's why you always got to save your work.
That's
brutal.
Reminding you to save your work.
The Library of Alexandria. That's
I always say this as well, but the biggest thing I'm looking forward to, if there is any disclosure, or if there's any like alien races that come down in that, like hopefully they've been recording everything.
Have you got a backup? Have you got a backup of the Library of Alexandria?
Apparently, like I saw this thing of, I think it was this psychic lady or something, and she was talking about like disclosure. And she was like, this is going to be one of the things that the people of Earth will finally get, is the actual truth of their history and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Like, yes, please.
Imagine like if there is, you know, like some kind of recorded or even, you know, there's the idea that we were genetically created in that by a race that's maybe been,
like the whole thing behind like the Prometheus movie.
Yeah, imagine if like they're so advanced that they've just recorded us from the start and just have it in their archives.
Yeah,
like, you know,
there are still like a lot of
so
mysteries,
cool.
aren't there, behind like the human race?
Yeah,
like,
and the gene are actually what our DNA is made out of and everything, and like the chromosome 2, I think it is. That's actually but 2. Yeah. I can't remember. I think it might be 2.
Yeah,
like
it's very
2.
complicated.
And it's basically, it's been split in half and joined together. And no other animal on the earth has this about their DNA and their chromosomes. And it's the thing that makes us self-aware and able to think in the way that we do. It's 2. It's like they're like this. They've literally, they're like 2 next to each other, have been split and like joined up, and then that's what makes us different from everyone else.
I do think that we are like, there are some fascinating sort of
it's
like
how
enigmas
could have that happened? Like that's basically like they're saying like that is like that's happened scientifically. It's almost like that our genes have been split and joined.
Mate, did you hear about that freaking? This is like game changing. Did you hear about that thing earlier where you're like, you know,
yes.
Not earlier on today, I meant just like earlier on
Sorry.
in life. But
I just thought I said because
yes, I have actually, Calum. I have. Now, what's the question?
The answer is yes.
What's the question? Oh mate. But and this is like potentially game changing stuff. If this is all like it turns out to be verified.
Suspense.
I know, man. This is nuts. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you've heard something about it. But you know that so I think the first like human species was thought to have evolved about 2 million years ago, and then they thought up until recently that it was about between, I think, like 250 to 300,000 years ago that the first Homo sapien evolved. So obviously we're Homo sapiens, but just so for people that aren't aware, so Neanderthals, Denisovans, that they were considered humans as well. They were like different species of human. I guess with the way that you've got like common-nosed dolphins, bottlenose dolphins, like they're all dolphins. But they're different genus, you know. So, so just so people are aware, Neanderthals and that they were classed as humans as well. So don't be confused when I'm saying like, you know, the first human evolved like 2 million years ago or whatever. But one thing, have you heard about that? They found
a skull.
Skull of what they think is a Homo sapien, but they've carbonated it to 1 million years ago. And this is like this is potentially going to like completely rewrite human history, because obviously if this is
keep getting older.
If this is if this is the case, it's like our species is over like 3 times. Oh my god, Imogen's got it. Imogen's got it. That's the skull that was found.
It's here.
There it is.
There he is. Look.
That's actually what ended up happening to Bullwinkle. He didn't really go to Australia.
We miss you.
Yeah. We miss you, Bullwinkle.
You're fine.
We went a bit Ed Gein on him. But lol. But say something that Bullwinkle would say. I don't know. I'm gonna get my hair permed daily. I love man bags. Should we quickly put it on there? So.
Oh, sorry.
Ready? I love. Oh no! He broke his jaw.
No.
Don't worry, that has happened before. Don't worry, you haven't broken it.
Oh no!
I love man bags. There you go. I've always still said that.
I love man bags.
I wear pants under my swim shorts because I'm mental. Love you really, Bullwinkle. Love you really, mate.
It's fine.
Even if you do wear underpants under swim shorts, just as the song says. But yeah. So if that's the case, that humans are over 3 times older as a species. Sorry, Homo sapiens are over 3 times older as a species than we thought they were, which completely rewrites human history. That would be mental.
It's like Göbekli Tepe on steroids.
It is actually literally like Göbekli Tepe on steroids. The thing is, I think this came out back in September, this research, and I don't really know what's happened about it since, which is kind of crazy, isn't it? But yeah, so I
heard something like that. That head was actually found in the 90s or something, but
it might have been.
But something has.
Often these things get found in like buried in a drawer for like decades.
and also the carbon dating was just wrong. The way that they carbon dated it, they figured out with new technology that actually this dates this here instead, you know, and like kind of pushes it back even
It's
more.
actually like it seems almost like weird to us, like how would that even happen? But it's quite common that things just turn up, say like in a drawer somewhere, and they were found in like 1920, and then people are like, oh, what's this? And then they carbon date it, and then they realise it's like a new species of dinosaur, or like I know that Gigantopithecus, which is the largest ever hominid that ever lived. It was like 10 feet tall, and it was like, I think the closest relative of a Gigantopithecus today is an orangutan, but it would have been like a giant orangutan, like literally 10 feet tall, like massive.
Gosh.
But I think that how that was discovered was actually quite like a funny way. Somebody bought somebody in like Asia, I think it was China, like it might have even been like the Himalayas or something, like was like, it was like some, you know how in China, like what's it called, like the medicine, it's like different types of weird medicine, you know, they grind down rhino bone and all that. There's a name for it. Is it like, is it homeopathic medicine? Or, anyway, they went to like some homeopathic medicine person, if that's the right term, in China, and they bought like this giant, what this looked like a giant molar tooth off them. And then this person, I can't remember, I don't know if they were actually a scientist or if they just had like enough knowledge of things. So they were like, this is weird. This is like a human molar, but it's like massive, 6 times the size of a human. Like, what the hell is this? And then they ended up taking it to some like museum to get it like checked out. And they were like, oh my God, you found like a new species of ape, and it's like the biggest ape that's ever lived.
That's sick.
But it was just found, like some little like crazy Asian lady just had it like in a little like in her like tinctures, and she was like selling it with stuff.
Have you heard about the like thing with the dinosaurs? A bit like that.
What's that?
Apparently they found like a new thing of dinosaurs, like T-Rex.
Nanotyrannus.
Yeah, something like that. And now they're going back and like checking all the like baby T-Rexes skeletons they have, because it might have just been that some of the bones, or so it's not actually a baby T-Rex.
Yeah,
so just got it all mixed up.
Yeah, so that's quite cool. That's like not quite obviously as game changing as some of the other things.
Oh no, definitely not.
But still quite cool. Yeah, so a bit like what we were just saying about like humans. So there's different species of tyrannosaur. There's Tyrannosaurus Rex is like the largest tyrannosaur, which we all know about. But some species of dinosaur, it can be very hard to tell in some cases if, like, say, like you find something that looks just like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but it's like smaller. Like, it's very hard to tell, like, is that a juvenile or is that like a different species of smaller tyrannosaur? But yeah, they think they've like realized that like what they thought was a lot of juvenile T-Rexes was actually like this new species, which is like Nanotyrannus, which is just it's just quite cool.
Tiny dino.
Yeah, well, it's not tiny.
It's
probably about half the size of a T-Rex, so still like
still big, but
still
big.
Easily big enough to eat any of us. Like you know, if you were like unarmed, you would be completely at its mercy. But I
always find it funny listening to like actual realistic T-Rex roars.
Was it me that showed you that?
It's not even like
evil giant satanic
it's like a
goose.
Huge, scary looking thing with like a weird little thing.
Oh
a
man,
weird little sound.
Weird honk.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like complete. Man, I think it
Jurassic
actually
Park
sounds
made
scary.
it sound so much better.
Yeah.
If you heard like the actual sound at night, pitch black, and you couldn't see anything,
It'd be pretty
I reckon
that would be
terrifying.
scary.
I reckon it would like go through you as well.
But
You know, when it, like
if
almost
it was
like
like
vibrate
stood
you.
in front of me there, just going like, I'd just be a bit like, what are you doing?
No, I reckon you'd poop your pants. I reckon it would be like
It'd
mental.
still be pretty
It'd be
loud,
like this
wouldn't it?
giant, demonic, weird thing.
Oh, true.
Almost like
I
sounds.
suppose if it was real, I probably would.
Sounds almost like an alien or something. That's why I thought almost that made it more like, because if it just roared like they do on Jurassic Park, that's almost like what you expect. And I think sometimes what's scary in life is like the unexpected, isn't it? So almost like if you're like expecting it, just go like, expect the unexpected.
What if it just started talking to you?
Hello, mate.
It was like, alright, you're right.
But you didn't think I'd be able to talk, did you? No? Yeah,
That's the
that.
freakiest thing about a lot of animal stuff and that, because they're in such a different like consciousness to you. Like that would be freaky as well. Like there's this thing that is just this monstrous eating consciousness that's just like, you know what I mean? It's so different to a human that it's like that you wouldn't even be able to reason with it. It's just it's like a bear or something, you know? That, I think that's some of the most scary bits about that. It's like you can't reason with nature. It's just gonna eat you, you know?
I wish my dog could understand what I like and could talk to me.
Yeah.
They kind of I think
they can a little bit.
I feel like she wants to talk to me, but she just can't
pets
ever
communicate
say anything.
with you still, but just not in the same
their own way.
But they can they definitely still interact with you. Like,
definitely.
My cat gets annoyed at me for not understanding him, or meow at me, and I'm like, "What do you want?" And he just sits there like, you know.
He probably doesn't even know what he wants. It's just a bit like, you know, when you're just like, I think even we do it as a species. You know, when you're sort of like, you're enjoying the interaction, but you don't necessarily know what you want to get out of it.
I think Rupert's doing that sometimes, but he always if he wants something, he doesn't do it very often, but he'll literally just sit there and stare at you and just do little whines like that, and I'm like, I'm like, what, mate? Like, and thing. And then all of a sudden, I'll realise like his water is up on the top rather than like, and I do that, and he just goes over to it straight away and like that. So he can't. Do you know what I mean? He can't. But it's and usually, and I'll pick something else, like I'll pick his ball up, and it won't be that. And until you get the right thing,
they just carry on.
He'll just like still be sitting there. So it's always annoying when he does that, because like. You never know what it is, but I know that until I give him what he wants, he's just going to be sitting here just whimpering at me, like, you know.
I always feel really bad if, like, because my dog has our dog bowl, and we usually have a bowl for the cats, but they just drink out the dog's bowl anyway. So we've decided to just have the one, and I always feel so bad for them, because for some reason my eldest cat, it's probably because he's so old, he just drinks so much water all the time. And then so does my dog. When she doesn't drink often, but she drinks a lot. Yeah. And then I'll go out 1 minute and it's full, I'll go out the next minute and it's empty, and my dog's like sitting there like looking at me like, you're just starving me, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I hate forgetting the water a bit.
And one of my cats just like, I've never seen her drink before, like ever. And then the one time she wanted a drink, there was no water in it, and I was like, oh my god. I feel so bad for her.
I feel like cats don't drink that much relatively.
You should see Casper. Every time I'm in the kitchen, he's drinking.
I replace the cat with a bowl of cat water like every day just to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
But like,
it's never empty.
No, it's never even half down.
Yeah.
Mine's always empty.
And that's between two cats as well.
Yeah. We fill up the dog bowl like every day, sometimes twice.
Yeah.
And that's between my little dog, and she's like a small
dogs are more ravenous though, aren't they?
Yeah, but she doesn't do anything. She sleeps all day, and then she'll get up, go for a wee, and I'll force her to have a drink. I'll say, you got to have like a bit of water, come have a drink.
Isn't it weird how
my cat's the one who drinks it?
Yeah, dogs are like I feel like most of the time, at least, apart from like within your case, like it's funny, isn't it? It's like cats are very much more like they'll have a bit and then they sort of like they know when they've had enough. Not always. I think if you give cats loads of treats, you untrain them out of that and then become like hooked on like stuff they shouldn't be eating. But I feel like if you're giving cats like a good diet, they'll only eat until like a reasonable amount, and then they're just happy to like go and
they can leave some and that. Yeah.
Whereas with dogs, you have to be way more like maintain it, because otherwise a dog could so easily get fat and stuff. Because if you just leave stuff out on the side, the dog will start like trying to eat
everything. Like that. He never eats all of his food. He'll leave some, and then normally in the middle of the night or at 11 o'clock at night, he'll just go back and finish it then.
Maybe it's
we only feed him once a day. We don't like do like morning and night and stuff.
My boyfriend's family does that. They just do like one, and then it just goes in and out when it wants. But I think the reason why sorry, cut off there, suspense. I think the reason why I can't do that is because of all my animals. They all just eat each other's food.
All go for it.
My dog doesn't always eat her breakfast because she's not always hungry, but we then have to put it in the cupboard and wait and just keep and just keep going to her like, oh, do you want your dinner, and like put it down and try and get to eat it, and then just keep putting it like away until usually we like leave it out and we just refeed her. But she has medicine now, so like, because she's old, so you gotta like make sure she's the one that's eating it, and then if she doesn't eat it, she doesn't get her medicine, which is bad. So it's like I've had to fork feed her. I have to fork feed my dog. Yeah.
I bet you quite enjoy that actually, don't you?
I do, but she only does it at like the times when it's really inconvenient, so when I've got to leave. Yeah. And she'll purposely do it really slowly, so she knows that like if I've got a bit on the fork, she just has to open her mouth, and I just like, when she bites down, like pull the fork out, and she does it like a baby. She knows how to do it, but she'll only open her mouth properly if I go, and like do it with her, and it's like a proper baby. It's like open your mouth, like,
that's quite sweet.
And then I'll go, we got another bit, and then I'll go, and she'll like chew, and then she'll like start chewing, and as I get a bit on my fork, she'll open her mouth thinking she needs a bit there. And I'm like, no, you carry on eating, and then I'll give you this next bit. And she's like a child. I have to like properly like, here comes the aeroplane. Open up.
That's quite sweet, isn't it? That's quite sweet.
She's a little drama queen.
Yeah. Should say about the human skull thing, by the way. So it's like some archaeologists are arguing that not enough tests have been done on the skull yet. But it's looking like there is like a really, really strong possibility that it is 1 million years old. But that's quite interesting because people like even like 10 years ago, we thought Homo erectus, which was like the first upright walking, like ape that walked on 2 feet, or like direct ancestor of us. We thought that evolved 1 million years ago. That's also been pushed back in the last 10 years to 1.5 million years ago. So even 10 years ago, people thought that Homo sapiens had evolved, just basically a few 100,000 years ago, and that Homo erectus was 1 million years old. now it's looking that Homo sapiens and Neanderthals might have both evolved about 1 million years ago, and that Homo erectus evolved 1.5 million years ago, which is kind of crazy, isn't it? Super cray. Yeah, who knows, man? It's like all these like mysteries of ancient civilizations, like mad, isn't it? Just to think like what even, because obviously we only really know, like have like really accurate stuff going up back about 3,000 or 4,000 years ago. And then anything past that is just a mystery, really, isn't it? Obviously, we know some stuff. Like we know that obviously Göbekli Tepe is a lot older than that. We know that certain other sites are older than that as well, but they're still just complete mysteries. Do you know what I mean? Like complete mysteries.
I'm holding out for that disclosure, man. I'm really hoping that there is a record out there somewhere.
Oh man,
that'd be so cool.
I mean, let's face it, I doubt it, man.
I don't know. I reckon there might be. I reckon we were created by something.
Do you reckon?
I like with that thing with the
Prometheus.
The fact as well that you could take from any time in the past that we know about humans being here, you could take them and put them here now, and their minds would be exactly the same. Like, and I've heard that as well. And it's like this whole evolution thing, like. I don't think it applies the same way as humans. I think I think we were created. I think that there was parts of some like ape and that, and we were mixed with something, and that thing with the DNA, the fact that it joins together like that, I think that for me is like proof that that was an intervention.
I think if that is the case, then it definitely the Neanderthals and Denisovans would have had to have been as well, because obviously they were super advanced as well. Neanderthals actually had slightly bigger brains than ours. Doesn't necessarily mean they're more intelligent. Maybe a couple of iterations
of the experiment. You know what I
mean? So I think a lot of people almost like think of Neanderthals as like stupid. I think it's like widely like sort of agreed that the part of their brain that was like responsible for like almost like interactions with others wasn't quite as developed as ours, and that's one of the reasons they think they ultimately went extinct, because Neanderthals would rarely have groups of more than like 10, whereas Homo sapiens could like form like small settlements of like 30 plus people, so it was almost like we just outcompete the Neanderthals. But there also was interbreeding between Neanderthals and breeding between Neanderthals and Homo sapiens as well, so they could successfully mate. And I think it's like where in the places of the world where Neanderthals live, I think that people can have up to 4% Neanderthal DNA, which is quite interesting, especially in places like Northern Europe, where because Neanderthals tended to live in like colder climates, like colder, hardier climates. Europe.
What are
Neanderthals?
Yeah.
What were they? So they were basically like
I thought they were cavemen.
No, I mean that's the thing. That's the kind of what they're depicted like. I mean, I guess they kind of were cavemen, but no more so than we would have been cavemen at the time.
Oh, okay.
So they lived at the same time as Homo sapiens, and in Europe they would have been living in sort of like the similar places
bones,
to us.
Didn't they?
Much. Yeah. Their bone density was 4 times stronger.
What, are they not here anymore?
No, they sort of just like died out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But as I said, some people would argue that they didn't fully die out, because obviously, as I said, like a lot of Europeans have anywhere between like 0 and 4% Neanderthal DNA.
Yeah.
You've seen that UFC fighter that looks real like an
Neanderthal?
Yeah.
I can't say it either, don't worry.
I wonder if how much...
Which one?
There's this blonde guy, and he looks quite like an Neanderthal.
A blonde guy.
But he's quite short. But
there's a lot of blonde guys.
But I think short blonde guy. If you knew his name, I definitely know who you're on.
Yeah, I'll find him. I've got him on Instagram. I'll show him after. But like,
I think there are sometimes.
I wonder how much he's got. I reckon he's got at least 6.
You reckon he's like? Do you reckon every night? He wishes, mate. He's just a freaking nut bar, that guy, isn't he? He's a man. That was so intriguing, that whole Liver King thing. I can imagine the sort of thing that Liver King would try and market himself as like, I've had my DNA tested and I'm the only human alive that's 10% Neanderthal. But no, I wonder if there is like any like genetic outlier that might randomly be more than 4. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that is the case, but it'd be cool if there was. But apparently, one of the reasons, one of the like not much of a cause, of course, but like there's small like traits of European people.
Frederick Youngshong or something like.
Youngshong.
Is he actually fighting in the UFC?
Refers to Frederick Vosgron.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's actually fighting in the UFC.
It might
be like ONE FC or the PFL or something like that.
Yeah, but
does it say what organisation? Don't worry about it too much.
I said UFC, and that's what came up. But
yeah, he's like just an MMA fighter, basically.
Yeah, MMA. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's several people that I think, every now and again you will just see somebody that looks quite Neanderthalish, won't you? I can't remember. There was this giant boxer. David, I know that David Hay beat him in a fight. I think his name was like Nikolai something maybe, and he looked full on like a Neanderthal. He looked like he just crawled. He looked like a creature from a movie.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm gonna look at pictures. I need to envision it.
Yeah, but so like Neanderthals, they think.
Oh yeah, I've seen about them. They're a bit smaller, but they've got like a bigger everything.
I think they're bigger. Aren't
they were more. They were shorter but more muscular.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, like not as tall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, they look in a nice way crazy.
Yeah, do you see what I mean about that Nikolai Valuev? Look how Neanderthal he looks.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah.
Oh, look at that difference in the face. Put it onto your one.
What's that? I want to. Yeah, put it on the mouse.
Oh. I'll have to. Hang on a minute. I'll have to.
Do it on this one.
Do it.
This is the camera.
Oh no, you can't focus it.
Shall I just go to that one?
Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I won't worry about it. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the differences
in
them is sick.
Show me. Yeah, so they were like
the actual skull itself.
It's funny.
Crazy.
I'm not sure if they were shorter. I'm not sure if they were shorter than Homo sapiens at the time, or if they were just shorter than we are now. Because I think it's like generally agreed as well that humans have gotten taller.
Yeah.
They had a lower cranium, a larger burridge.
Yeah, that's like brow.
Oh, okay.
So they would have had real thick, like eyebrow bones here, which would have caused like them to have like this prominent brow. Yeah.
They had larger nose. Larger, broader rib cage.
Much more muscular.
Yeah. Shorter forearm, broader hips, shorter
tibia.
Yeah, there you are. Tibia.
Yeah,
and they obviously are the height.
So some of their proportions would have been different. But yeah, they were like really heavily set and muscular. 4 times higher bone density, which would have mean it would have been much harder to break their bones. And because they, you can see the tendon attachments on bones, and as a result, that they can figure out that they would have been really muscular compared to us as well. I remember watching a documentary.
The skeleton differences is crazy.
Yeah, I remember like watching a documentary years ago, and it said that like if a Neanderthal got hit by a car at like 40 miles an hour, like of course it would hurt it, but it would essentially be able to like get up and walk away.
They're like superhumans.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But don't you think it just goes to show a bit like how you can see like ants sometimes take down like a praying mantis or something? It's like we out.
Oh, I love watching those. Like the
it's
different
addictive,
bugs
isn't it? Bug
taken
Wars.
down.
I literally follow a channel called Bug Wars. It's so funny. But
there was that guy who had that density in bone, like, and he had a car crash.
But that was a genetic, like mutation. Yeah.
Was that 4 times the strength?
Yeah, he was 4 times as well. So he would have been like a Neanderthal.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, we told the story on the pod ages ago, Imogen. We had sort of like an episode we were talking about people that had like genetic mutations.
Yeah.
And one of them was a guy who had 4 times bone density, but he didn't realise it. He just, because obviously he was just a normal guy apart from that. But one thing he did always think was really weird apparently is that apparently he could never swim because as soon as he get in the water he'd just sink.
Oh, that's crazy.
But he just thought, I must just be like suck at swimming or something. And he, as a result, he never really swam.
Just can't float.
And then one day he got hit by a car, and obviously his flesh, like his skin, and like it was all bleedy and messed up. And then the paramedics on the scene were like, yeah, well, obviously, like they have a duty of care, so it's their job to try and keep them alive. So like rushing him to the hospital to like try and see if they could keep him alive. But they were pretty much like, from the injuries he's got and from what we know of like the
we're gonna have to have a little break, man. The camera's gone off.
Oh, that's all right. Well, yeah, I'll just finish telling this story and people can just like be in mystery as to what I'm.
We can look at Imo as you're doing it.
I just imagine that I'm putting a really demented face while I'm saying this. Or Imogen can mime me.
Oh yeah, mime you.
Yeah, go on, mime me. I love this. I remember I used to do that with like teachers at school, and then I'd get caught sometimes, and they'd get super angry at me. But yeah, so they were taking this guy to hospital and they were like, oh, he's blatantly going to be like, he's going to die because, all of his bones are going to be broken and all of his internal organs and stuff are going to be messed up. But look at the camera as well while you're saying it, just as like extra logs. And then, and then they took him there, did an x-ray, and he was actually fine. And it turned out because his bone density was like so mental, like all of his internal organs were like protected because his bones were fine. Because his bones hadn't broken, and it was all because of his genetic mutation which made him have super thick bones. But we'll be back in a minute, ladies and gentlemen. We're all good. Drew sorted it out in real time. Here I am again.
I'm not very good at miming. I didn't know what you were saying. I felt like I had to look at you to see what you were going to say.
Why is that like weird screen back again?
God, it's coming back on.
There must be like some weird thing where that's like, I don't know, it's default, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're going to have to sort that out.
Look, you can see what's going on.
Look at that.
See what's happening.
What was it? Was it set up or?
It was set up, wasn't it? It was like
info display off.
Yeah, there we are. Back to normal. Whoop, 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 whoop. Back in action. Back in action, guys. Totally back in action.
Check it out.
Checking. Oh, it's going to be a real cool guest is going to come on the pod in mid January.
Ooh.
So everyone check out, if you've got Instagram, check out an Instagram page called I think it's called Extinct Animal Facts.
Oh, cool.
Let's check it out, and it's let's have a look. Extinct Animal Facts. It's a guy that's basically just goes balls deep on prehistoric animals, everything from like dinosaurs, woolly mammoths, like ancient human species, all sorts of stuff. And he also works with Colossal Biosciences.
Oh, nice.
So he actually works with them. And he's going to come on the show, so we can do like a massive deep dive into like cool as hell, like ancient prehistoric animals and stuff and prehistoric creatures. So I'm really looking forward to that because as everyone that's been listening to the show for a while knows, I love like freaking like all the ancient megafauna and dinosaurs and everything. Just anything prehistoric, I like find it fascinating. So we're gonna go full balls deep on like dinos, megafauna, weird creatures, giant creatures, terrifying creatures, but all of them actually existed, which is going to be super cool. So that's good, isn't it? That's nice. Did you know one of those interesting facts? You know when like people say that like we lived closer to like Cleopatra than Cleopatra lived to like the building of the pyramids. Have you ever heard that?
Yes, yeah.
Did you hear
That's crazy.
Have you ever heard the one that it's like we live close? We like live closer to the Tyrannosaurus than the Tyrannosaurus Rex lived to the Stegosaurus.
I've never heard that.
That's quite a mad one, isn't it?
I always just thought like the dinosaurs were only around for like a year and then just died.
No. So the dinosaurs were around for like millions and millions of years.
Forget about that.
Much longer than we've been around. And
because Sid the Sloth and everything, isn't it?
What about Sid? No, that's an Ice Age, isn't it?
He was
Sloths.
Dinosaurs. They were under the ground in the big dinosaur utopia.
No, maybe in like a movie, but sloths hadn't evolved when dinosaurs were around, unfortunately.
Oh.
Yeah, they evolved.
Not even yellow sloths.
No type of sloth had evolved in the time. There was like what you call
Arctic sloth.
They were like what you call proto mammals and things like that, like ancient mammals. I think like
I don't know much about like this type of stuff, but I think it's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's super interesting, isn't it? I think our closest living relative that lived in the dinosaur times was called Purgatorius.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like
heaven and hell.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. What did it look like?
It looked almost like a little like freaking like lemur or something.
Oh right.
Yeah. It was like this.
So I am King Julian.
Yeah, basically.
King
Julian. Yes, it like lived in the trees.
No, I don't want to suck your toes.
Yeah. It like lived at the same time. Yeah, the end of me neither really. But, I know who King Julian is because I've watched Madagascar with Evie. Dun, 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 dun,
I like to move it.
Yeah.
Physically fit.
Yeah. Evie's like definitely requested that's put on YouTube a couple of times so she can dance on it.
I love that song.
Yeah. Purgatorius, it was like this almost like this little lemur-looking creature that lived in the trees at the end of the Cretaceous period. So it would have been like looking down on like T-Rexes and stuff, like walking around,
scary.
which is pretty mental, isn't it? Yeah, it's like this 60 million year old like proto-primate.
Oh my god.
And I think it's like our closest living relative, of course, along with the
Drew?
Common water vole,
which is what Drew always says.
You were just pointing to Drew. I was like,
yeah, along with Drew. Drew's our closest living relative. Debatable. No, it's like a long-running joke that in PB that like Drew always just says that every mammal's like oldest relative is the common water vole.
What is that?
It's just it's literally just a common water vole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what I saw. I saw something about it on a documentary once. But yeah, I don't think it's true.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, Emma, but basically, like, the dinosaurs stopped the mammals from like evolving past a certain point because they were so dominant that if a mammal evolved like bigger than say anything the size of like a badger, they'd instantly just get eaten by all the. So it took when the K2 extinction happened, and then the Cretaceous period came to an end, and the dinosaurs were wiped out by a giant meteorite asteroid impact. if that's sort of like allowed then the mammals to like evolve.
Well, how did the mammals not die if the dinosaurs died?
Well, because obviously, like 99% of life on Earth or something like that was wiped out, but there was still that 1%, and there were some mammals.
The atmosphere changed and stuff as well, didn't it? So didn't it make it more like a better atmosphere for mammals to evolve and stuff? Or is that?
I don't know if that's the case.
I don't know much about like this type of
because I think
stuff.
I think the atmosphere, like the requirements for say like a reptile would be similar to a human. I think that there were obviously certain circumstances where they might thrive a little bit better in certain climates, but obviously on the whole, there's probably like a lot of crossover there. But I think the main thing is that they basically, it's like whenever you leave like a massive like void in like the food chain and the ecosystem, then things will like start to evolve to fill it. Yeah. And what's quite interesting is you have something that's called divergent evolution. And that's basically when like pretty much the same animal evolves several. What are you laughing?
Thinking like neurodivergent evolution.
I
imagine that as like real like funny like little.
They got like weird issues. Don't judge me because of my ADHD. So like divergent evolution is like so there's like a mammal that evolved called like I think it was called a tryptodont, for example. And
That's a sick name.
It was essentially.
Why are we just called humans? That's so boring.
Give us a new name. You are responsible for giving us a new epic name, Imo. But I think like tryptodonts are essentially like giant armadillos. Imagine an armadillo like bigger than my car, right?
What's an armadillo?
You know, with the hard shells.
You know,
across
they're like they're like mammals.
I know what that is. Yeah,
they're like related. They're related to like pangolins and anteaters and stuff.
Aren't they some of the only mammals?
I like that's your correlation.
They secrete milk as well. Or wasn't that Bullwinkle that said that?
Something like that. Like was it like they sweat milk?
Yeah, sweat milk.
You can get dog armor for it on Minecraft. From the shell of
and aren't they one of the only mammals that have like a
carapace? A carapace,
skeleton.
You call it an well, no, they do. They have a skeleton inside as well. So they have bones like us, because that's one of the things that makes us vertebrates. Yeah. So like invertebrates are like bugs. So bugs are squishy on the inside and hard on the outside. That's an exoskeleton, and we are vertebrates, which means our hard bits inside, and then we have the squishy bits on the outside.
Then we have to put the armor on for the outside.
It's like they're both effective, but they both have their pros and cons. But it's like two different types of evolution. Do you know what I mean? Like
it's crazy.
That's why like if you step on a bug, like they might be crunchy on the outside, but in the middle it's just like mush, isn't it? It's kind of gross. But yeah, like a carapace is just a word for anything that's like a shell, essentially. So like armadillos have like a carapace over their skin.
Is that like the only mammal that has that?
Probably.
I think it is.
Yeah, I think. But no, sorry, I don't think it was. Sorry, we know I said about the tryptodonts.
Human and on
it wasn't tryptodonts. It was glyptodonts. Yeah, so glyptodonts were the massive things that were essentially like giant, like the Incredible Hulk version of armadillos. But there was also a dinosaur evolved, which was called the ankylosaurs, which essentially was the same thing. It was also a vertebrate, so it had a skeleton on the inside with flesh on the outside, but then also had a carapace around the top. And both glyptodonts and ankylosaurs had like tails with
maces.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, they're like big like balls with like the spikes on
that's
it.
An ankylosaur.
That's that dinosaur in Ice Age that like smashes them and like
is it like a big almost like tank? Yeah,
and it's like really angry and like tries to kill them when they go into the dinosaur.
And they filled like exactly the same evolutionary niche.
Oh my god!
But one was a mammal, and one was a dinosaur. And they obviously lived like millions and millions of years apart. Wow. But
that's sick.
You see, and also, I mean,
didn't even put two and two together.
I mean, it's like in the oceans at the moment. You know, you have like, things like
tripod fish,
like dolphins and like killer whales. Like it's sort of similar to say like certain types of like ichthyosaur. You know, an ichthyosaur was like an aquatic marine reptile that lived at the same time as the dinosaurs. And they'd have been like swimming through the ocean, obviously like eating fish and stuff like that. And you're like, you know, even if you like look at like an old fossil of an ichthyosaur, it's like kind of similar to a dolphin. But yet again, like a dolphin obviously is a mammal, an ichthyosaur is a reptile. So it's like, you know, you see actually quite a lot of I mean, you know, look at like an albatross, and then you look at like pterosaurs, like, you know, the reptiles that were flying in the skies at the same time as dinosaurs. So I mean, it's like, you know, similar thing. Similar thing.
I find these things so cool.
It is super cool, isn't it?
So it's so like baffling though, like for like my mind. I like can't get like my whole head around it.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool to get that guy on, because he's like obviously he's like more into it than I am. So he's going to like he's going to be like spitting some mental facts.
Yeah, that's so cool
about like prehistoric animals and stuff like that, and just like I'm sure he's going to have like this cool like fact sheet of just like mental stuff. So that'd be really cool to have him on. Yeah, I think that's one of those mental facts, isn't it? That like we live closer to the T-Rex than the T-Rex lived to the Stegosaurus. So like Stegosaurus evolved like in the Jurassic period. The T-Rex evolved in the Cretaceous period. So yeah, we're like 66 million years removed.
So really, Jurassic Park shouldn't have any T-Rexes?
Well, no, yeah, it's like a common thing. So yeah, like basically the reason they called it Jurassic Park was because they thought it was way more catchy than Cretaceous Park. They thought a lot of people. They thought a lot of people wouldn't even be able to say
Cretaceous
like, because Cretaceous is almost like a bit of a
crusty park.
It's like a bit of a tongue twister, isn't it? But like Jurassic, it sort of rolls off the tongue.
Jurassic sounds like jungly.
Yeah.
Whereas Cretaceous just sounds like it'll be like all rocky. Yeah. Like volcano, like rocky and stuff.
Yeah. So so T-Rexes didn't live during the Jurassic period, and but it's quite cool, isn't it? So we evolved about 65 million years after the last T-Rex would have died out. And then, but then it would have been more than 65 million years before the last Stegosaurus and the first T-Rex.
That's crazy.
That's quite cool, isn't it?
Yeah. What about the Megalodon? They're pretty sick, like a huge shark.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely huge shark.
A toadus Megalodon.
That's like crazy.
Yeah, I mean...
don't people think they live in like the Mariana Trench?
Yeah, no, they don't.
Still.
I mean, they definitely don't.
That whole thing in itself is quite scary.
You have
some... just like a really deep, like just...
You have some conspiracy theorists that think they live in the Mariana Trench, but there's many reasons why it doesn't really hold up to like just reality. One of the reasons is like very simply that like if something that big was in the ocean, at some point or another, some sort of carcass or something would have washed up on the beach. The same way that like dead walruses and dead whales and stuff, and other dead sharks are always.
Don't people say that the megalodons can live for like a very, very long time?
I'm not going to lie, I don't know how long they could have lived for. But I mean, why would that change the fact that some wouldn't like, because say if one megalodon was born a year, do you know what I mean? Like, you'd still have like a regular.
All I ever think about whenever I hear that theory is just like one insanely old megalodon, just like floating there,
like, almost like the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah.
There's another reason why they think that it's like impossible is because, relatively speaking, obviously not like...
Or like the giant squid, they're sick.
Yeah, I mean, they actually are real, aren't they? They're alive. Giant squid and colossal squid, yeah. There's also a species called the colossal squid, and they're like even larger than the giant squid. Big. Yeah, and then like sperm whales like dive into like the dark depths where it's actually like so deep it's like pitch black, and they have like battles with the giant squid and colossal squid. And
God!
They like eat them, and then some.
Wait, which one eats what?
Sperm whales eat the giant and colossal squid, but some sperm whales have like massive scars and like barnacle and tentacle like lacerations and scars on their like heads from where they've like battled them in the dark deep depths. Yeah,
that's terrifying.
It's one of the reasons that like sperm whales have such massive like thick. It's almost like a battering ram of like a skull. If you look, especially compared to any other species of whale, it's because they literally just dive down into the depths and just like ram the squid.
I love
and then
whales.
It almost like knocks them out for a minute, and then they quickly then try and like bite it and eat it while it's like stunned. But they also have almost like superhuman like echolocation power, and they can almost like stun like the squid by just essentially going like ah!
That's sick.
Yeah,
I do that.
Did you know that the sperm whale was the sperm whale can make the loudest sound literally on the planet.
Oh my god! No,
so like humans can't even replicate. So if you stood next to like the largest commercial aeroplane engine while it was switched on, it would like blow your ears out. But that still wouldn't be as loud as a sperm whale at full vocalization.
Oh my god, that's sick.
And if you swam,
I think I was meant to be a sperm whale with how loud I am.
Well, I'm with your sister.
Oh yes, queen.
And like, if you were swimming in the sea with a sperm whale, which is relatively safe to do. You know, I think the problem is obviously a lot of people try and take liberties, don't they? And they start.
I feel like it would try and kill me.
No, it definitely would.
Or it would like swim underneath me and then like go up and like fling me into the air.
They know, don't they?
They're
quieten down around
but
humans.
they're huge. I think I'd just be scared of how
they've
big
got the largest brain of anything on the planet. Do you know that?
No, that's
they've got the largest brain of anything.
Well, it makes sense to be fair. They are huge.
And like we don't even really understand they're intelligent, but we know that they're super intelligent. They have super dynamic social structures, like familial bonds, and they also are one of the few animals that show high levels of consideration, which is super rare. I mean, let's face it, even some humans don't show an adequate level of consideration to others. But so they basically, how mental is this? How self-aware is this? And I think, self-awareness is another like key sign of intelligence. But if you were in the water with a sperm whale and even essentially, quote unquote, like spoke at what to them was like a regular level, it would blow out your eardrums. But they're aware of this. So when humans are in the water with sperm whales, they essentially whisper so that they won't hurt you.
Oh, that's so cute.
Isn't that
That's
mental?
like what we do to like dogs. We're like, hello. We like speak gentle to them. He's like, are you alright?
Yeah.
Whereas like with a whale, it's imagine like a big whale like seeing a human and going like, hello.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? But yeah, they literally have like they have language. They display consideration, high levels of self-awareness, like strategic thinking, familial bonds, like friendships. They literally are like, they're almost like us, but if we were just like in giant grey, like this weird giant grey body.
I love whales, otters and foxes.
It's like me with sperm whales, bears and cats.
Yeah.
I love how
I love
how simple we are.
Yeah.
You're like sperm whales, otters and foxes.
I like how otters
And
they
I'm
like have
sperm
like a
whales,
favourite
bears
rock and
cats.
they like hold their rock.
Have you
like,
seen how
forever.
the sea otters like hold hands with each other as well?
Yes,
So they lie down and they go sleep in the sea and they just hold each other's paw so they don't drift
so
off from each
cute.
other and they just float in the water like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
but I just really like how they like do that and like how they just have like a favourite rock they just hold on to. Like I have a favourite teddy that I just have everywhere.
They are.
As you saw in my
they
car,
play
it's
with the
hardly
rocks,
a
don't
teddy.
they? They're like,
Man,
Yes,
they can be really sweet, but they're also. Have you heard that they're like
quite
evil.
vicious.
They're quite evil. Yeah. Do you know that they like they're basically they've just decided. I mean, you can kind of see why their mortal enemy is like the beaver, because they live in similar environments and they're like similar size.
Yeah.
But
I used to always get them confused.
As a result, but there's like some key differences. So like beavers obviously build like dams, and they also build themselves like underwater little like dens. Did you know that? So they build themselves dens under the water out of sticks, and you could only access it.
Yeah.
You could only access it from the water, so it's super safe.
Yeah,
that's sick.
But beavers are monogamous. Did I just say that right? Monogamous.
I won't
yeah,
know.
they only have one.
Right
They only have one partner for life, so they mate, and then they have only one partner for life, which is super cute, isn't it? And they have very close familial bonds as well. So a beaver will pick a mate. They'll essentially be together for life, and then in their little dens, they'll have little baby beavers.
Oh, that's so
cute.
But
because otters, and by the way, beavers don't show any aggressive tendencies towards otters unless provoked. But otters basically go out of their way to not just mess up beavers, but literally kill beavers.
Yes.
Right? And there's literally, you can watch like
break their houses and like kill their
some like
kids.
zoologists and that have gone under the water like divers and like managed to put like a little camera in beaver dens, and they've like documented like literally like raids from otters where like they are trying to go into the beaver den
like villages
to
and
literally
pillagers.
kill the babies. Mate, to kill the beaver babies. And the male beaver is like their last line of defense, but obviously he's outnumbered because like otter groups they could have like huge, could have like 6 or 7 like big otter males, and this poor beaver male, just where they don't have like big groups, they just like have their mate group. He is like the last line of defense, and he literally just like stands there by the hole, and then when an otter pokes his head up, he'll slap it with his big tail. Do you know they got those big beaver tails?
Yeah.
But obviously,
I thought they couldn't breathe underwater though, like for long periods of time.
What, otters?
No,
no, otters and beavers can't.
Beavers.
No.
So
the den is
in air.
Oxygen. You know, it's in oxygen. Yeah, it's in air. Yeah, but you can only access it. It's only got an entrance.
They like build a little cave.
Yeah. So it'd be like, imagine if you built a house.
Yeah.
In the
but then you
like what I do in Minecraft.
But to get into it, you'd have to like jump in a freaking lake and like swim under.
I do that in Minecraft.
You know,
it is literally the safest way.
Yeah,
the only thing that can get you is the drowned.
Well, you can see why, can't you? I guess it's like, so that like certain predators can't just like find the opening or whatever.
Yeah.
But sometimes obviously the beaver males.
That's a dead zombie. Drowned zombie.
Sometimes the beaver males can't successfully fight off the otters, and the otters will just come in, just kill them all. Just kill them all. So like even though they kind of look cute to us, they're actually like pretty savage. Like they can be pretty savage. But it's
otters.
But it's like
I like red pandas as well. Have you seen them when they're threatened?
Yeah, they're pretty cool. But I guess it's like the food chain, though, isn't it? It's like it's all relative. It's like to us, like killer whales are cool, but then it's like killer whales just f up or like pretty much everything apart from us. Like they like one of the things I remember watching an Outdoor Boys video. Outdoor Boys is like a real successful YouTube channel, and he was in Alaska and he was just out on this boat, and I think he was just going fishing. And he was like, "Oh look, there's a group of otters," and they were like holding hands, like you were saying, and then suddenly a killer whale just came and went. Swallowed it.
Red pandas are so cute.
Yeah.
Look at them.
They are cool.
That's when they're threatened. They go like that and they try and make themselves look big and scary.
They've got some at Exmoor Zoo. You should go. Exmoor Zoo is a dope. You should go on a little trip.
When they used to have them at like Bristol Zoo, that was my favourite part.
You should go while you're at Dolverton.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're going back tonight.
Oh, that's a real shame. Next time, because it's like right around the corner for you, mate. And it's a great. It's a lovely little zoo.
Oh, definitely.
Be lovely to take.
I love zoos. Zoos are great. I might have to go there because obviously I used to always go to Bristol one because it was the
You should go on a little road trip to Exmoor Zoo.
I might have
to. It's not that far.
I might have to. Yeah. Next closest, basically.
Yeah, sure. We're gonna leave it there anyway, folks. Thanks for joining us on another PB. If you don't already, please go give us a follow on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Just look up Pandora's Box Podcast. Give us a like, comment, subscribe. We love you. We appreciate you. We hope you have a good week, and we shall see you same time, same place next week.
Bye bye.
Hell yeah.